This makes internet porn a dopamine-producing machine.
Gary Wilson argues that the younger you are when you start watching porn, the easier it is to get hooked, the more difficult it will become to quit the habit.
Adolescent brains are just different. That's a fact, and that's, the new science, both on all looking at animals and looking at humans, shows that it is different. Around age 11, there's an explosion of new nerve connections, perhaps 50 to 100 billion new ones. And why that occurs is it allows the adolescent mammal to rewire to its environment so it can be successful in life, and also, very importantly, successful in reproduction. And this rewiring occurs as the nerve connections connect. And it's sort of a use it or lose it principle. So what that means is over the next several years, starting at age 11 all the way up to maybe age 24, is you are molded by your environment.
There has been strong opposition to Gary Wilson's porn is addictive message. Some sexologists and psychologists say that Gary Wilson and his wife are unqualified to be doing the work they're doing because they are not doctors or scientists. And their critics say there is no scientific evidence to suggest that the effects of online pornography are any different from the static porn images of the past.
It feels like that should be different. It feels like being able to jump on a tube porn site and look at hundreds or thousands of different videos and select from them. It feels like that should be different from, looking at the pages of a Playboy. However, there is very little, if any, evidence that there is, in fact, a scientific or a real definitive difference.
Dr. David Ley is a clinical psychologist who specializes in sexuality. He's also the author of, among other books, The Myth of Sex Addiction. Dr. Ley is vehemently opposed to the idea that online porn is addictive.
All behaviors that are rewarding are dopamine producing in the brain. That is the way that our brain works, and it's the way that it's supposed to work. So the internet is not unique in that. What I like to draw attention to, though, is that language, that what we have there is a call to arms that is a moral panic. And internet pornography is often also referred to as the crack cocaine of sex. When we talk about, the internet being crack cocaine or the internet porn being a dopamine engine, we are being told, be afraid of this thing. Whenever anybody tells me to be afraid, be very afraid. I get concerned, and I think they're trying to manipulate me. And I think that, unfortunately, this language is manipulative, trying to achieve certain things. Restrictions on access to internet porn.
In an essay called Porn is Not the Problem, You Are, Dr. Ley contends that when you label certain sexual behaviors an addiction, it absolves men from confronting deeper problems in their lives.
Sexuality is a very complex, multi-determined behavior. There is not a single answer, and to try and reduce sexuality and sexual behavior and even excessive problematic sexual behavior, to try and reduce it to a single factor, to try and reduce it to a single neurochemical, dopamine, is too simplistic. It ignores a huge range of other factors. Things like learning history, things like biology, genetics, things like environment. Those are very complex behaviors. To try and explain those very complex behaviors by one factor is reductionistic and to a degree silly.
The way addictions are diagnosed is through behaviors. So if you have continued use despite negative consequences, a compulsion to use, you have cravings, you cannot control your use, and you have withdrawal symptoms, this indicates
withdrawal from porn?
To the neurobiologists, according to
I need
all
a
studies,
fix.
that you have a set of brain changes.
Oh my god, I need some porn today, right now. If I don't crank one off here in the next 10 minutes, I'm gonna fucking lose it.
Dr. Ley does not see porn use as a problem. In fact, he says in some cases, porn can benefit our society. However, he does worry that teenage users aren't mature enough to put hardcore porn in proper context.
I do agree.
You can watch porn, but don't watch the hardcore stuff. So what's the hardcore stuff, sir? Well, it's the stuff where there's triple penetration, Bugakkis, anal, gangbangs. Gangbangs falls underneath that category, Johnny. Oh, it does, sir? Yeah, it does. Oh, man, I was trying to get together and have a gangbang this weekend. Johnny, I think it's a bad idea. Why, sir? We're really looking forward to it. Well, it's gonna turn you into a fucking sexual deviant when you grow up, Johnny. Oh, no, sir, I don't want to be a sexual deviant when I grow up. Well, stay off the hardcore porn. Yes, sir. No more gangbangs, tree peas. Fucking Johnny's going straight.
To masturbate to this fantasy behavior than to engage in the reality, because the reality is a lot of work. Pornography is an easy escapist fantasy.
I guess so. We're escaping to
tell,
Pound
porn
Town.
is a minefield. The cultural landscape is littered with volatile disagreement and debate. However, whether you call it an addiction, an obsessive-compulsive behavior, or harmless fun,
compulsive. Oh, I gotta work off. What are you doing? I can't help it. I'm whacking off. Oh, yeah. I can't help it. Would you stop that? I can't help it. It's compulsive. Just fucking gotta start whacking it.
Several countries are attempting to put some kind
Yeah,
of
listen to this.
limitations around access to hardcore porn.
Don't want to go there.
Iceland is considering the idea of
Iceland?
banning online pornography.
Well, they can there because there's so many fucking hot chicks
Recently,
there.
the British government announced what it calls the opt-in plan. What this will mean is that all internet providers in Great Britain will be forced to put in place family-friendly filters that will automatically deny access to online porn unless adult customers is specifically asked to opt in. Feminist Cindy Gallop is all too aware of the negative impact of mainstream porn on young people. But she argues banning it is not the answer. She decided to take a different approach.
What can you do?
Younger men, predominantly men in their 20s.
Listen to this.
And when I date younger men, I have sex with younger men. And when I have sex with younger men, I encounter very directly and personally the real ramifications of the creeping ubiquity of hardcore pornography in our culture. So, in an era where hardcore porn is more freely and widely available on the internet than ever before, and where kids are there...
Cindy Gallop is a highly sought-after branding consultant and a successful entrepreneur. Just like Gail Dines, Cindy Gallop sees the same negative impact of hardcore porn on our lives. However, Cindy Gallop has decided to use her business expertise to reimagine porn and counter it with what she calls the celebration of real-world sex. In 2009, she delivered one of the most talked-about TED lectures of all time. She turned her talk into an ebook, Make Love Not Porn, Technology's Hardcore Impact on Human Behavior. Her TED lecture went viral. On YouTube alone, it has been viewed close to 500,000 times. And there are about 3,000 comments in the comment stream.
I personally respond to virtually everybody who leaves comments on my TED Talk on YouTube for 3 reasons. The first one is, quite frankly, enormous entertainment value for me. Because while there are many positive comments, there are also many very negative comments. And the negative comments all fall into one group. They're usually young men, sometimes older men, but predominantly young men, hiding behind the anonymity that a username affords, hurling obscene abuse at me. So when somebody posts, who would want to come on her wrinkled old face, shriveled up old hag, they never expect that Cindy Gallop will respond to them personally, publicly, directly, and with a sense of humour. So to that young gentleman, I replied, I know. I could really do with those facials, right? The second reason, though, is that this is my chance to do something that I feel very strongly about, to open up their minds. And I have to tell you,
this
the
girl's an old dirty
bird.
bird.
Has been fantastic. With the guys who simply wouldn't stop.
This is completely researched here.
I would eventually say, please message me privately so we can discuss this one-on-one. And when you get them one-on-one, the dialogue changes completely.
This is a scientific study, young Stephen. Take your pants off and take me to Pound Town.
And a virgin. No wonder he was so angry about girls and sex. And so I found myself saying to him, well, have you thought about online dating? And, when you meet a girl in a bar, maybe you might think about chatting her up like this. We became friends.
In 2012, Cindy Gallop launched MakeLoveNotPorn.tv. It's a crowdsourced, user-generated site that she says is devoted to the beauty of real-world sex. Here is how it works. Everyday couples from around the world of all ages, body types, race, and sexual orientation upload videos of themselves having sex. Cindy Gallop and her colleagues curate all the submissions. Subscribers pay $5 for 3 weeks of unlimited rentals, and the couple in the video receives 50% of the revenue.
Hear this?
I asked Cindy Gallop what makes the sex videos
let's stop that
her...
for a second. So, couples can upload their porn to a site that other couples upload their porn, and they get 50% of the revenue. So, you guys looking to make some extra cash? Huh? Pretty good idea, eh? Not bad.
Website different from all the other porn out there.
We are not porn. We're not amateur. We're real-world sex. This is not about performing for the cameras. It's simply about recording what goes on in the real world in all its funny, glorious, messy, wonderful, silly, beautiful humanness. Real-world sex is funny. If you can't laugh at yourselves when you're having sex, when can you? Porn world sex is not funny. We want to reassure people that the same...
The funniest thing that ever happened having sex with me, was this is really taboo for me because I don't like this. I don't like it when a girl farts. We were having sex and she farted and we just fucking died laughing. I mean, it wasn't like a pussy fart or nothing, but she was coming and she farted and it was hilarious. I'm blushing telling you that story. Hey, Mel?
Shit happens to all of us because we never talk about it in the real world. For example, the total nightmare putting the condom on. Guys are always meant to know how to do that like magic. As we all know, it doesn't happen like that. And when it doesn't happen like that, things go soft, juices dry up, encounters get derailed. We want to introduce a new socio-cultural meme into the marketplace, condom hot. Queefing, fanny farts, nothing to be ashamed of, everybody does it. Real-world sex is messy. It always amuses me when people talk about porn as being dirty, because porn actually sanitizes sex. Porn's very clean. In porn, nobody has hair. You never see anybody actually using lubricant. You never see any of those nice, messy things that happen in real-world sex. We don't
want to talk about those ones, do we?
You never see that in porn. And then the last example I'll give you of what we mean by real-world sex that you won't find on any porn site anywhere is, as a team, we obviously sit around and talk about our own sexual experiences. So we were having this discussion one day, and Sarah, who's our 20-something community manager and curator, said to us, well, John, my husband, and I have lazy person sex.
Lazy person sex?
And we all went, what the hell is lazy person sex? So lazy person sex is when the two of you have had a really long, hard day. You're utterly knackered, you're lying in bed at the end of that long, hard day, but you're really horny. You want to get off, you don't want to have to lift a single finger to do it. And that's when John will nudge Sarah and go, can we just have lazy person sex? And when I heard that, I went, oh my God, we have to have a category because everybody can empathize. And what a blessing for all humankind to be reassured you don't have to rock it like a porn star every time.
Cindy Gallop argues that today's porn has gotten big, conventional, and deadly boring. This dynamic can happen to any corporate behemoth,
it's just boring sex.
Be it the music industry, advertising, publishing, or journalism.
Just later, I'll be done here in about a minute.
In the porn industry, we face an avalanche of dreadful imagery.
I really have to explain to people that the rise of extreme violent porn is not the result of evil, malignant, twisted forces within the porn industry. It's not the result of, oh my God, human beings are becoming even more corrupt and depraved. It's the result, very prosaically, of a bunch of guys who are scared shitless because they're making no money, doing what guys scared shitless making no money in any industry